this new J. Cole album is mediocre. 6 out of 10. I Love Dogs is Wes Anderson's latest attempt at symmetrically framing a color palette. I should probably begin this by saying that Wes made one of my favorite animated movies of all time in Fantastic Mr. Fox. Excellent animation, witty, funny dialogue, fantastic voice acting, and some of the best absurdist humor I've ever seen in a production of this scale. I could go on about Fantastic Mr. Fox all day, but I don't need to for you to understand that it's one of my favorite movies, period. Needless to say, my expectations for Isle of Dogs were pretty much up in the exosphere given how astronomically wonderful I found Wes's previous animated film. This is why I waited a week to see how I really felt about it, because walking out of the theater, I probably would have slapped a 6 out of 10 on this and walked away grunting about how jacked up popcorn prices are and how hungry I was. Now, there are a lot of things I love about this movie and a lot that I don't. After letting it marinate for a while, I do think this movie does provide more sizzle than it does steak, but the way it's served is still very appeasing. The story follows young Atari, son of Japanese Mayor Kobayashi, who embarks on a journey to find his dog Spots after all dogs are banished to Trash Island due to an outbreak of dog flu. It also follows a pack of wild dogs who help Atari through the harsh landscape. One thing that was very clear to me before the end credits rolled was that this is probably the most Wes Anderson movie, almost to a fault. A lot of people argue that the way he directs is very much style over substance. Most times, this isn't really the case. The substance just complements the style very well. Take for instance the entirety of the Grand Budapest Hotel. The characters are wacky, but so is the setting. The dialogue is strange and quirky, but so is the acting. It all fits together very neatly. It's a very tight package. In Isle of Dogs, it's only really the plot that the style caters to. The setting, characters, and dialogue are all relatively tame and realistic, so in a movie that attempts to be so stylistic, it feels like a huge imbalance. The setting is probably the worst culprit of not fitting in here. He's the guy who prefers Burger King. The setting of most Wes Anderson movies works with its quirky style, but this is like a dystopia, with all dogs being sent to an island made of literal garbage. There's not much silly or quirky about that. Now, while I think the setting doesn't fit well stylistically, I think it works wonders visually. The set pieces used to bring this vision of Japan to life are spectacular. A lot of the areas that the dogs and young boy explore are really cool, and there's a lot of world building done visually that I loved. It's no secret that Wes Anderson loves his color palettes, and while this one is mostly brown and gray, there's a lot of nice splashes of vibrant yellows and reds. In fact, this is one of the best looking movies Wes Anderson has ever made, and one of the best stop motion films I've ever seen. There's a scene involving the preparation of sushi that is so well done that I forgot I was watching a stop motion movie altogether. On a visual level, this movie is easily a 10, and that's enough to recommend it to you there. Now that I got that out, let's talk about the characters, or rather, the lack of character. All the dogs, with the exception of Scarjo, can't remember her name, Ginger? Whatever. Jupiter, Oracle, and Chief sound the exact same. They sound like the same person. All of them. As if that wasn't annoying enough, there's only like 2 characters that actually develop over the whole movie, and it's Chief and the kid. The other 4 dogs are seriously just there. All they do is talk about their past lives and make observation for comedy's sake, which more often than not isn't even that funny. Almost all the human characters suck too. The mayor's translator has more personality than the mayor, but at least that actually adds to the story. Tracy! This chick from the trailer? Shouldn't exist. Like she's going on my WatchMojo.com top 10 things that shouldn't exist list. She adds absolutely nothing to this movie. I feel like she's only here to extend the runtime by a few minutes. She also provides the prime example of Wes Anderson overdoing his style in this movie. This.
I've got a crush on you.
There are so many things wrong with this line alone. Now, I'm a very big fan of the show don't tell rule in cinema, and romantic interest is one of those things that so many directors fail miserably to show subtly. One could argue that this is where Wes is using his style to make fun of how poorly other directors show that a character has feelings for another, but that's stupid. It's not an excuse for lazy writing.
That's just weak songwriting. You wrote a bad song, Petey.
There's a whole bunch of things like this where they could be considered lazy, but Anderson would write them off as a stylistic choice. just because you've made great movies in the past doesn't mean you get the Disney Fast Pass when you make new ones. You don't get to bypass writing standards. While we're on the topic of poorly written things, the majority of the movie has really wooden dialogue, which is something that bothers me a lot. However, some of the voice actors manage to deliver it really well, so there's a bit of a saving grace. Actually, about 20% of the dialogue is Japanese, so I don't know for sure if that part was well written or not. On a more positive note though, I found the way the movie played with translation to be really amusing. It was pretty entertaining to see it used in such a way that wasn't distracting from what was happening on the screen. So I think I'm officially out of critical things to say, and I feel like I've said a lot of negative things that don't truly reflect how I feel about this film. And despite its numerous flaws, I really enjoyed it. I don't think it's better than Fantastic Mr. Fox, and I don't think it's one of Wes's better films, but I still liked it. I think it's far better than your average movie, and it's definitely worth your time and money. So I have a lot of gripes with it, and I don't think it's perfect, but it's still really good. Wes Anderson, you didn't fail me completely. Go see this one.